Hello, this is Molly with this week's Rituals of Returning newsletter. And today we are going to have a Sarasvati Card Buffet, so to speak. I actually went through at the end of last year, and I went through all of my decks and I used our Wheel of the Year. This is our Goddess Wheel of the Year for 2026. I used our Wheel of the Year and I went through all of my decks and I pulled out the cards that relate to those goddesses on the Wheel of the Year, and then I put them into little envelopes, marked them with the holidays, and so they are all ready to go for 2026, that's the first time I've done that in that way, and I think it's going to be a useful way to structure these videos and to kind of let the things incubate together or marinate together as the year unfolds. And so I am, so this today, and not all the cards for each holiday come from the same decks because not all of the decks have the same goddesses in them. So some of the decks are different and then some of the cards are different, etc. So, but this is the Sarasvati Card Buffet, so to speak. So we are using the Goddess Guidance Oracle, the Divine Feminine Oracle, and the Goddess Inspiration Oracle. And we're going to start with the Goddess Inspiration Oracle because that is the shortest one. And this deck's by Chris Walter. I'm not sure if it's available anymore. Sometimes I've been on this path for a long time, and sometimes I have things that I don't realize are out of print or no longer as readily available. So I don't know about this one, but she has really in-depth illustrations. So the message here is enlightenment awaits you, prepare for it. Sarasvati is the goddess of knowledge and inspiration, and really of the arts in general. So enlightenment awaits you, prepare for it. And if you've been around me for any length of time, you know that I'm also a fan of endarkenment. We don't always have to be reaching upwards, but we can be sinking our roots deep and dark, and a lot of wisdom waits for us in the dark and healing places. And so we don't always have to be striving towards this this type of enlightenment or elevation or transcendence. But anyway, so that's just a side note. So from the book, and this is what the little book is like, the Goddess Inspiration Oracle Guide, Sarasvati, goddess of knowledge, the associations are wisdom, education, and music. So Sarasvati, the Hindu goddess of all knowledge, is held in special esteem in India by students, writers, and musicians. Extraordinarily beautiful and graceful. She's easily recognizable. She's dazzling and brilliant. One myth tells how Sarasvati and her consort Brahma were born from a golden egg that had emerged from the sea, and then they created all the knowledge in all the creatures of the world. So a good question to consider this week is, what are you creating? What knowledge do you have that you want to share with others? And so Sarasvati is able to banish all forms of ignorance, bringing education to anyone wise enough to desire her enlightening presence. Paintings depict her seated upon a lotus blossom throne. You can see it there, and then my little figure there is sitting on a lotus blossom throne as well, and accompanied by a white swan. The swan is believed to be able to separate milk from water, an act which shows the ability to discriminate between actions that are good and those that are insincere. So how do you discriminate between actions that are good and those that are insincere? And so those are some questions to consider. What are you creating? What are you bringing into being? And do you need to discriminate between some actions, whether those of yourself or those of people around you? And so then we're going to go ahead and move on. I think we're going to go ahead and go with this Sarasvati. This was my first goddess deck, and I've talked plenty of times about that, how Doreen Virtue, who's the author of the deck, had kind of renounced all of her past teachings and kind of, reneged on a lot of her messages. And so then I became uncomfortable with using the deck for a while because of that, even though it's really is I think it was my first goddess oracle and my introduction to a lot of these goddesses. And then as time went on, I was able to start working with the deck again. But I know there's some people who have chosen never to work with any of her materials again. So I always like to acknowledge that when I use this deck, so that you know that I know that I am, making a decision to continue working with it. So as we see here, again, Sarasvati, the goddess of the arts, and the message here is express yourself through creative activities. So an affirmation might be, I express myself through creative activities. I let inspiration flow through me, or I let inspiration sing through me, or I play my own music. I play my own music. And so that is something to consider here with Sarasvati. And so she says in the book, you are a limitless being. If it seems you have time, money, or other restrictions, it's simply because your mind is focused on the material world. I have a little bit of questions about that. But anyway, that's okay. Let's just go with what it says. You can unlimit yourself by lifting the cloak of the material world from your focus. And that is a good reminder, is that a lot of creativity is about bringing the invisible into the visible, bringing something that starts in the realm of the imagination and then bringing it forward into actual form. These story goddesses, when we made them, I had a vision of making this goddess, but she didn't exist in this form. And then I brought her from the invisible realm into form. So I can see that as far as the things like if you seem like you have time or money restrictions, it's like, well, money can't buy happiness, but it sure helps. And so not having money is not necessarily just an imaginary limit. It can be a real one. And so I did want to mention that we can't necessarily think ourselves out of all of our limits, but it is important to remember that the message from Sarasvati and the message of the arts and imagination and creativity and music is all about bringing things from the realm of the invisible into the visible. And so in that way, we can unlimit ourselves by lifting the cloak of the material world and focusing on the invisible instead. So music is essential for the expression of non-material ideas and energies. Music colors our surroundings with emanations from the highest vibrational fields. It allows us to escape limitations in our thinking and escape limitations in our very existence. Surround yourself in music and allow it to stimulate your own creative thinking and to spark new ideas. Flow with the music and give yourself permission to investigate and experiment with putting your creative ideas into action. Enjoy being limitless. So I love that idea that surrounding yourself with magic, or with music, can give you an experience of being limitless. So even if you do have limits, you can experience limitlessness by surrounding yourself by music. So an affirmation to consider might be, I put my creative ideas into action. I flow with my own life. I give myself permission to investigate and experiment. So lots to consider with Sarasvati here. And so then there's some practice ideas or some suggestions. Play music, sing, dance, draw, paint, write, do something creative, study, or even change to a career that gives you creative freedom. Take a creative class, invest in an artistic hobby, keep a journal of creative ideas, join a writing club. Oh, I'm a big fan of that one. Or other creative support system. There's something really powerful at gathering together with other people, even if they are doing totally different things. So I'm a member of my Rala Writers Club. I'm also a member of Arts Rala, and there's nobody else in Arts Rala who does goddess art and writes poems about it. But there's still a place for the connection with other creative people, even if what they're making is completely different than you. And I think sometimes being online often kind of leads you into thinking that you have to only do things with people who are almost like exactly like you, or you're not going to have any fun if you go to a writing club, but people there are writing things that you don't like or don't want to read, then somehow you need to find somewhere where everybody's just writing goddess poems. And my writers club, there's people who write murder mysteries, and there's people who do historical fiction, and there's people who write there's people who are religious who are writing, devotional type stuff based on their background. And we all still belong there because we have this shared interest in writing. So if I restricted myself and thought, well, I'm never going to learn anything from this guy who likes to write murder mysteries, then I would actually be holding my own self back by thinking I only have to be around people who write goddess poems, or who think the way I do. So anyway, that's my little plug for writers' clubs. So Sarasvati, as we said already, Hindu goddess of the arts, helps us with all creative expressions such as music, writing, dancing, and eloquent speaking. Married to Brahma, Sarasvati prizes knowledge and a creative expression above material possessions. Her symbols include the white swan, the veena musical instrument, and the book of knowledge. She helps us focus our minds on our creative projects and not get distracted or procrastinate. So another affirmation could be, I focus my mind on my creative projects. So we're going to go ahead and finish up with the card from Megan Watterson's Divine Feminine Oracle. And I'm going to get a little closer here. The goddess of self-knowledge. So the emphasis here is on self-knowledge. She has the book of knowledge in general. So the knowledge, all knowledge of all kinds. This one is about self-knowledge. The essence of who I am flows effortlessly into everything I create. The essence of who I am flows effortlessly into everything I create. That is a lovely message and an invitation. So Sarasvati represents self-knowledge of who we are so that nothing can impede the flow of creativity from the soul. Her name is the fusion of the Sanskrit words for essence and oneself. Sarasvati's name translates then as the one who leads to the essence of self-knowledge. She's part of the Hindu goddess Trinity, the Tridevi, together with Parvati and Lakshmi. Lakshmi we had as a goddess of the year, or goddess of the month last October. And all these three goddesses help the trinity of Hindu gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, to create, maintain, and regenerate the universe. The earliest mention of Sarasvati is in the Rig Veda, a collection of ancient sacred texts that dates back to 1500 BCE. She is sometimes referred to as the mother of the Vedas and is understood to be the personification of knowledge. Students appeal to her for assistance on exams, and writers and artists pray to her to remove all the obstacles that keep them from being a clear conduit for the creativity that wants to come through them. Ooh, here's a tongue twister affirmation. I am a clear conduit for the creativity that wants to come through me. Love that one. That might be my favorite from this video. She is considered to be a river goddess or a feminine deity with healing flowing waters. So the river of inspiration, and I talk about the current of the sacred that runs beneath all of our lives, the river of inspiration that runs beneath our lives, the river of the holy that runs beneath the surface of our lives. She's venerated as the goddess of music, the arts, and learning because of the association with waters that heal and purify. Her iconography often associates her with a white lotus, symbolizing the purity of wisdom her energy brings. And so, another message here, when we are aligned with the essence of who we are, then what needs to be communicated through us, whether with words or music or artwork, can flow. When our creativity feels blocked or stagnant, it isn't because the waters have dried up. We might fear this, but the truth is that self-awareness is the key to unlocking our creative flow. When we take the time to return to the essence of who we really are and nurture that essence, we realign with the river of expression that the soul generates. I align myself with the river of inspiration. Sarasvati is the reminder that anything we create that purifies us in the process of making it is a blessing. Our art should be judged not on popularity, but on its power to transform us. Sarasvati is a call to return to the essence of the true self. The energy of her card is the charge for more self-knowledge, more awareness of our own unique soul and what our needs are in this moment. She leads us back into that finely attuned space where we can express with ease and grace what the soul desires most to share. And that energy feels like a river moving through us. It heals, it liberates, and it inspires others to return to their own essence as well. So a question to consider is, what is one word, and I have her as the goddess of sacred words, what is one word to describe the essence of my true self? So may you feel the river of inspiration flowing through your life this week, this month, this season. May you align yourself with it. May you attune yourself with it. May you allow it to flow through you. May you heal, may you liberate, and may you inspire. Thanks so much for being here. Keep living your magic, everybody. Bye-bye.